Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to IFMA's webinars. Today, we are going to be looking at shaping the future of work, AI-driven space management in the age of the augmented workforce. And it's a very big topic. I think a lot of us have been hearing about AI. So it's going to be an exciting day to find out a lot more about this. Before we get started, I would love to know where everybody's joining us from. I am with IFMA and I'm joining you from Houston, Texas. And our webinar today includes a great interactive part. It is called Mentimeter. For those of you that have been with us in the past, it's a great tool that allows you to participate. Let us know in answering questions that our panelists will then be able to give some thoughts on. So you can either scan the QR code here or type in the web address, www.menti.com, and enter the code you see on your screen. We will also remind you when we have these polling questions throughout the webinar. So for today, again, let us know where you're joining us from and be prepared to learn how AI may transform facility management and how facility managers can better adapt to a swiftly evolving professional landscape. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Arnold Ng. Arnold, I'm going to hand it on off to you.
Thank you, Kim, and welcome everyone to join this webinar. Just a quick introductions about me. So my name is Arnold Ng, currently the Board of Director of IFMA, a professional association that every members are proud of. My day job is a director in the corporate real estate and facility team of GSK, based out in Singapore, accountable for real estate strategies and delivery in the APAC regions. So it is my honor to facilitate these panel discussions. Thank you. So we are bringing in our panels as well. Thank you, Jack. So joining me, we have John Wang. Hi, John. Right. So John is the CEO and co-founder of IDEA, a maker of room scheduling panels and desk booking devices for smart workplace. IDEA has been in the digital signage business since year 2000 and has worked with various software companies to deliver over 500,000 screens around the globe. Welcome, John.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And then we also have Samantha O'Neill, who is the Senior Product Manager at IBM. Hi, Samantha. Samantha is a dynamic and result-oriented Senior Product Manager at IBM Tririga. She has a strong passion for IoT, AI, and data analytics. Samantha takes user-centric approach to identifying business challenges within the real estate and FM industry, and she's passionate in working with customers closely on creating the best workplace experience. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Next, we have Kevin Janice. Hi, Kevin. Kevin has over 25 years facility and asset management experience, in which 10 years were on client side. He has extensive maximal experience and also process analysis of multiple business functions, including the application of Six Sigma and the balanced scorecard principles. He is a consultant leading implementations and running delivery organizations in different industries. Kevin is a CFM and also a credit process management professional. Welcome, Kevin. Right. And then we have Michael Thompson, Global Head of Business Intelligence and Data Advisory at JLL Technology. Hi, Michael. Michael leads the JLL Insights and Data Advisory Practice team, providing JLL commercial real estate clients with the business intelligence and data governance solutions. Prior to JLL, Michael had various leaderships and consulting roles, including leaderships of location strategies and data at JP Morgan Chase as a principal in EY's financial services advisory practices. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
Right. So today's topic is shaping the future of work, AI-driven space management in the age of augmented workforce. So it is a very long heading. And also I have picked up some very interesting keywords as well, such as the future of work, AI-driven and augmented workforce. So I'm sure the discussions today will be very fruitful and interesting. Let me start with a quick introduction of what is augmented technologies. So if you see the figure on the screen that I took from the white paper issued last year by the World Economic Forum in collaborations with the University of Cambridge about augmented workforce. The term augmentation refers to the use of technology to simultaneously support people's empowerment and engagement, increase productivity, and drive excellence across operations and business process. It aims to realize the most effective ways to support or amplify human abilities and technologies. So in short, augmentation technology is not about taking over people's job, but rather putting people first. Whereas technology can be used to augment human capabilities and skills in a variety of ways, from problem solving to work executions, data analytics, physical capabilities, learning, communications, or decision makings. So if we go to the next page, you can see a large variety of augmentations technology that is available to us nowadays. We have IoT, we have smart workplace, AR, etc. that it has been available for a while. So our speakers today will definitely touch on some of these interesting technology in the next hour as well. So without further ado, let's start by exploring our topic number one. Topic number one is around workplace efficiency. So I would like to ask the panel, in the age of augmented workforce and AI-driven space management, what strategic considerations should a facility manager and business executive keep in mind as they reshape the workspace landscape? Can I have John to share some of his insight with us? John,
Thank you
over to
very much. Thank you very much, Arnold. And thank you for this great opportunity to participate in this excited discussion. I would like to start first by setting a context around what we're going to talk about today. And if we could just, I think the letters are kind of small on my first slide, but thank you. So I wanted to name some examples on what our expectations are for the benefits of adding AI to the context of workspace management, especially in relation to commercial real estate. So here are some of the examples that are available, readily found on the open internet. For example, some of the results, the positive results that have been discovered. There's a case study around the company Hank, which focuses on using AI technology for controlling HVAC systems inside buildings. And they have shown through experiments, actual deployments, that AI is able to conserve as much as 50% of energy used by optimizing HVAC systems. And in addition to that, because now you don't need to turn the air conditioning on all the time, they also found that AI is able to reduce on-site service by as much as 80%. So these are very significant numbers. And other use cases, for example, open space, they do on-site surveys and photo documentation of buildings during construction and for the purpose of future services. Then using AI technology, they are being able to document more than 100 times more photos, thereby providing more accurate description of buildings, and in return conserve 2.5% of construction savings because of these additional information. And last but not least, leasing property management also found use cases of AI by increasing the conversion rate during the sales cycle as much as over 100% and over 300% in recurring appointment meetings during the sales process. So these are just some of the numbers that are named. And if we can move on to the next slide. I want to also give some common use cases on how intelligence or smart devices can help us improve the efficiency in our workspace. One example would be applying AI technology to security cameras, allowing them to integrate from multiple angles and multiple pieces of information to provide more coverage to ensure the security of the space that we're managing. Smart reservation. This is one area where IDEA, my company, really focuses on. And we've been helping lots of clients optimize their space usage by deploying room scheduling panels, sensors, desk booking devices around their buildings, and found they're very effective in helping us manage a flexible workspace. Smart lighting. They generate as much as 6% of greenhouse gas emissions. And by integrating sensors and controlling them automatically, depending on ambient lighting conditions and maybe outdoor lighting conditions, we also found significant savings in that area. Smart furnitures. So these could be, for example, height adjustable desks now that are personalized and can automatically accommodate different heights depending on who has checked in to a specific desk. Devices like that, even we're now also helping companies with office phone booths. So these are office pods. These are all new intelligent devices being introduced into the workspace to help manage this flexible work style with intelligence about how the pattern of how people work. Last but not least, an example I mentioned in the previous page, just by introducing AI to manage HVAC systems, we could result in great savings in energy consumption and reduction of greenhouse gases. And I know, Samantha, you have a lot of advice on how to really get from the first step to a full deployment. So I'd like to invite you to share your insights and your guidance for the audience.
Yeah, thank you, John. And I think, you've given a really nice overview in terms of, how technology and AI are helping facility managers. I think, when I think about those technologies and the use of AI, and kind of, from the customers that I work with, facility managers are going through this big transformation phase, right? Overall, the way in which people have been working has completely changed, flipped on its head from, 4 years ago to now. So they're really looking at how can they reshape the workplace landscape. And I think with the transformation in AI as well over the last couple of years, and especially around generative AI, a lot of them are very open to using AI technology to help make their day easier when it comes to managing their facilities, but then also using that and adopting it to make the everyday user of their facilities even easier too. And I guess when I speak with a lot of our customers, a lot of that comes back to, I guess maybe Arno, the point that you made at the beginning as well, where there has been this shift where, AI isn't intended to take over somebody's job, but it's to help them with those operational, tasks that maybe they do day in, day out, or, helping them to get insights from data that exists so that they can make decisions easier and quicker. So for the customers that I work with, they're really looking at how can they use AI in a small way today to make their day easier. And from there, they're trying to build trust in the AI so that over time they can look at more aspirational use cases and larger use cases related to AI. And I guess a couple of examples of that are, today we've got customers who are using Tririga, and they are using it with Watson X so that they can have, AI assistants that will help the occupants of their facilities to make reservations using natural language, or even to report an issue right within the facility, again, using natural language. So it's making it a lot easier for the occupant of the facility to report those issues or to make those reservations. But then the downstream impacts that that has for the facility manager means that their processes in terms of picking up those tickets and processing them becomes a lot quicker as well, because those issues are reported timely. And I think, that's a key thing, right? So facility managers are looking for those smaller use cases where they really bring value, so that they can learn from those and then kind of like lay out the foundation for maturing the technology and maturing the use cases over time. And I think, I always kind of take the approach that it is very much of a, start simple, build on that success and the experience. So a lot of them will take that kind of crawl, walk, and then run approach. I guess other, kind of examples of that and kind of like where AI could go to in helping facility managers is, today AI is leveraged. We use it, to look at lease data, and just understanding, what insights can I get around my leases, like which ones are coming up for termination, and what are the actions that I need to take. AI can take that one step further, where it can help to not just give you the insights on the lease, but actually give you intelligent recommendations on the options that are available to you. So that might be that, with lease A, you've got the option to, extend it or renew it, and this is what it would cost. But this is maybe the maintenance work that needs to go into that facility. Or, maybe option B is to not renew that and actually move to a different location. And I think for those types of use cases, our customers are still on a journey where they're building the trust in the insights that they can get to the end goal of those kind of intelligent recommendations as well. So I know I've spoken kind of a bit about some high level use cases there, in addition to kind of like building trust and starting small. But Kevin, I know, you and I have spoken in the past as well, kind of in depth around this topic as well. And you've got some insights in terms of the quality of data and how the data input into the AI plays a big role in all of this. So I'm interested to kind of hear from you on that.
Thank you very much, Sam. Yeah, thank you very much. So I am a little bit of your curmudgeon grandfather who walked to school uphill both ways on broken glass and bare feet. I like to take it back to the basics first. One of the most important things I think about AI is the technology is accelerating so fast that the human factor needs to keep up with it. So just a couple things to keep in mind as we take advantage of AI moving forward. And again, Sam did some great examples, especially I'm a huge fan of crawl, walk, run, but have a plan. What do you want to get out of the information? What are your goals? And again, short, mid, long-term goals, etc. I say this often, probably to the dismay of some folks, but AI is only as good as HI, and that's the human intelligence that inputs the data, that decides what you're trying to glean from the data, that teaches how to teach. So you're teaching the application for that. Machine learning's been around for a long time, and really that's what AI is. People have started to use the term AI really since the large language models have come up, Chat, GPT, Bard, etc. But AI, I mean, look at IBM. Watson's been around playing chess or Jeopardy for 10 plus years. And really what it is taking massive amounts of data and using technology to sift through that data, look for trends, look for information that you're trying to mine from it. But it's very important, as I say, to have a plan, because the technology is there. You can look at reams and reams of data, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on too. But if you don't know what you're trying to get out of it, it's almost as confusing as if you didn't have it. So again, have a plan, have targeted desired outcomes, and remember that the AI, whatever it is only as good as the data that goes in. So look at your data first, and then look at how to apply AI. Michael, do you have some thoughts on that?
I do, and thanks for that. I have to say, data is probably the most important thing that is needed for AI to work. We live it every day. I would add more strategically that many of you in the audience may belong to a technology organization. Many of you may belong to a more traditional industry organization that manufactures or is involved in providing services. And each of you will have to think about whether you're going to buy this or build it. And for a technology organization, often you've been doing this in the organization in one way or another for a while. And naturally, the technology organization will see some advantage to building it themselves. Whereas if you're in a more traditional industry that's maybe a little bit less focused on technology, you may be looking at partnering. You may be looking at going on the outside to buy this capability. And, there's advantages and disadvantages to each that I think we have to consider. When it comes to buying it, what you're buying into is ultimately a model and a technology that everybody's going to be using. And it greatly accelerates your ability to provide this to, in your case, to provide this to the people doing the real estate work and helping them do their best work. But over time, it's going to be a bit of I'll refer to it as a commodity, but everybody's going to have the same thing. And you'll have to think then, okay, what are the unique qualities about what we're doing here in real estate? What are the unique qualities about your particular company that you want to achieve with the AI? And that's what, at an enterprise level, your company is trying to continue to do, is have a competitive advantage. And I would say the same for the real estate function. One of the most classic examples of a real estate function is make it be the best place for people to want to work. Make it be the kind of best and easiest experience for people to do their best work, as we think about more virtual spaces as opposed to physical spaces. And so, how does that work from an AI perspective? I think one of the most important things is that AI requires training. It requires maintenance. It requires people actually building the logic, if you will, behind the AI. And we refer to that technically as prompting, especially when it comes to GPT. But what, at the end of the day, it comes down to is you have people actually putting in answers. You have people prompting the model saying, this is a correct answer. This is the kind of answer we're looking for. And if you think about it, who is doing that? You may have a developer doing that, but that's not to your advantage. I think especially when it comes to some of the AI where we're trying to use it in real estate to create a better place to work, workplace kinds of AI that answer questions about, where do I go for a conference room, or where do I go for a certain kind of amenity? And more importantly, getting feedback from people that tries to assess the sentiment and the engagement of people. Are people feeling good about the workplace? Are people engaging in the workplace? Well, how do you answer that question? Well, you need perspectives from a lot of different people. You can't rely on just a developer's interpretation of information to say, oh, people are enjoying the space or not. You need people that are there. You need people that are from different backgrounds, different cultures, different perspectives that all come together to create kind of that unified sense of what is good and what is difficult. And so I'd say one of the most important things, in addition to the buy versus build decision, is just to think about how you're training and prompting your models. Are you using a diverse set of people to train and prompt them? Or are you just relying on developers? If you're just relying on developers, I think you'll be at a disadvantage. So with all of us having answered the questions, I think, Arnold, you were going to provide a poll for the audience now.
Yes, thank you, Michael. So thank you so much for the insights, very helpful. I will try to do a summary after the poll. So let's look at the poll first. So poll number 1, which aspect of AI-driven space management in this augmented workforce era do you find most compelling? So we have a couple of answers, and then scan the QR code. Make sure you scan the QR code, or you can log in by the website. So we have 4 answers for you to choose from. And we want to come back and see the results. Now, I'm trying to summarize what our discussions topic number 1 is about. So John has shared with us a couple of AI user case on lease and property management, energy management, capital project planning, and constructions. And everything is now so smart because they are all connected to the IoT platform, such as lighting, air conditioning, security, workplace, reservations, etc., all can be seen as a dashboard and interacted with each other. Samantha has shared some of the user cases from her clients and suggested we start simple build on successes pilot and experience, and then progressively address more complex challenges. Kevin then raised a very good point that AI is as good if we have quality data. So we saw sophisticated dashboard and Power BI, but they are only meaningful if the data is accurate. So the role of FM is evolving, and we need to equip ourselves with good data analysis skills. Michael then talked about, do we buy it or do we build it? So what are the unique qualities that we want to achieve with AI? How to keep up with our competitive advantages? We all trying to create a better place to work. So what is the answer of AI for us? So I think that's a very fruitful insight that I have got from the panel. Thank you so much. Now, let's take a look at the poll questions. And so which aspect of AI-driven space management do you find most compelling? And I think the majority of the people found the impact of AI on decision-making in FM is most compelling, followed by AI's roles in enhancing workplace efficiency. And then the number 3 is strategies for adapting operating model to the augmented workforce. And then number 4 is the broader implication of AI on traditional job roles and skills. Great. Thank you so much for people who are contributing to their ideas. And now we enter into topic number 2. Topic number 2 is technologies revolutionizing facility management. So in the first part of the webinar, we talk about how AI and IoT technologies offer immense potential to enhance operational efficiency and user experience. Now, can you share a real life examples, including success stories or the lessons learned? So this time we start from Kevin. Over to you.
Thank you very much. So again, I like to take it back to some of the basics. Enterprise asset management, facility management, space management disciplines have been using sensors or input data for quite some time. In the past, it may have actually been physically walking around and gathering meter readings or whatever the case may be. But now with IoT, you're able to get 100 times more inputs automatically without having to have someone walking space. That is good and bad. I remember in the right around Y2K, even before that, we used energy management systems, building management systems, SCADA, etc. I was managing 2,000 sites, and the amount of data that was coming in, even from these primitive systems, there was so many alarms, there was so much information. It almost was useless because you didn't know the ones that you really need to look at, etc. This is where I think AI can really make a difference. It can do that initial sort. It can look for the trends. It can find the things that you should be focusing on. IoT, the price of sensors has come down. Connectivity is much better. Like I say, you can get overwhelmed with data. The trick is to make sure you're focusing on the data that really matters. So again, from a facility management standpoint, it would be, equipment operation, asset operation, et cetera. From a space management standpoint, you can look at inputs from the end users, which are really the assets. Is their space adequate? Are their amenities adequate? And a unique thing that I think is coming into this is that working from home is now a workspace. How much responsibility do you take as a company for supporting the working from home environment as opposed to in an office? Are we looking at IT assets? Are we looking at furniture? Are we looking at all those things? And how do we gauge the usefulness of them? So again, to kind of tie it back, go back to my original slide that said, have a plan, get the information that you're getting and have targeted outcomes for that to make sure that you're not overwhelmed by the outputs. This is a wonderful opportunity We just need to make sure that the human part stays in sync with the technology part. So I think, Sam, you were going to make a few comments.
Yeah, thank you for that. So, I mean, I think that's really interesting, right? You mentioned around how space planners have kind of gone from walking around a floor to see, where are people sitting manually and instrumenting IoT sensors to help with that. Um, from my work that I do with IBM Tririga, I work with our customers on looking at and evaluating, I guess, different IoT sensing technologies to help them better understand how their spaces are being used. So typically, most of our customers traditionally are using Tririga for all of their real estate and facility management needs. And that includes space management, right? So how are those spaces classified? What do they look like? Who's assigned to each of those spaces? Which business units are being charged to use those spaces, right? So they've got all of their space management data. And now they're looking at bringing in IoT sensor data to actually validate, are those plans that they have in place actually being well executed against, and not wanting to do that in a manual way. They're putting sensors on individual desks, into meeting rooms. And we also have some customers who are using the existing Wi-Fi infrastructure to just understand at the business or at the building and the floor level, how many people do they roughly have using those spaces as well. This, I guess, for our customers has been hugely valuable. It's helped them to reduce the time in terms of understanding whether or not those plans are being well executed against. But it has really helped them in this kind of dynamic, kind of hybrid work way in which people are coming to the office and working from home on other days, and actually really planning for more of those kind of dynamic type spaces where things need to change more regularly than maybe they did in the past. They're looking at, as people come into the office, one, do they have enough space on each day for everyone who is coming in? Two, when people are coming in, do they have the right types of space? So if there's collaboration spaces, do they have enough collaboration spaces? Or are there certain spaces that just never get used because maybe, people don't need those anymore, and actually there are other space classifications that are of higher demand? So those insights are helping them to make decisions quickly, but make the right decisions as well. Because Michael, you touched upon this a lot, and workplace experience for me is a big area. But ultimately, yes, facility managers are making these decisions to help drive cost savings, create efficiencies. But at the heart of it, ultimately they want to provide that workplace experience so that employees feel like they can be productive when they come into the office as well. I think, kind of some of the interesting insights that I've seen kind of from our customers as they've implemented this is that, they probably had a thought in, people are using space in a certain way. And actually the data shows them that they're using it in a completely different way. They, had a rich, I worked with one customer, a large pharmaceutical, and, they had originally set out a bay of desks where they thought everybody would gravitate towards because they were beside a window. They had nice views out that they could, see out to this lovely scenery, and just assume that they would always have really high utilization. After about a month, they realized nobody was ever occupying those seats. And at first, they thought it was an issue with the technology. Maybe the sensors weren't sending data, so they sent people to the site to just kind of monitor and watch it. And no, they realized people were not sitting there. And it came back to that nobody wanted to sit beside the window when it was really hot outside because it was just too hot to be near the window. So that helped inform them in terms of, okay, actually, people might want to sit there, but they'll only want to sit there for a very short amount of time. So, they were able to repurpose space to maybe just more of a set down for people who want to, catch up with a coffee, or maybe just meet for 20 minutes. I think as well, as I think about lessons learned from our customers in those types of implementation, I think one of the biggest things, and it's kind of has a tie back to workplace experience as well, but is good communication up front. A lot of employees don't want to feel like, well, I think all employees, right? They don't want to feel like they're being tracked, they're being watched. You know, Big Brother is watching their every move as they come and they go. So good communication up front as to kind of why sensors are being rolled out or why this type of data is being collected is really key to make sure that everybody is on board to begin with and isn't kind of startled by the introduction of these new sensors. I think as well, you know, when it comes to the technology, it's really important for the business to really think about what are the business outcomes and that they want to get out of these insights that they're getting from the IoT data, and really have that inform the technology that they select. Because if I think again, just sticking with space utilization, you could have a sensor that tells you that a room is occupied or not occupied. And that's fine if you just want to understand, okay, yep, I just want to know if the space is occupied or not, or how frequently it's being occupied for. But if ultimately you want to know how many people are in that room and how many people are occupying that room, that's a different type of sensing technology that you need to select. So it's really important, I think, up front to have those clear kind of business outcomes so that you make sure that you make the right technology selections. And then on that trend as well, I think, thinking bigger, thinking not of just of this initial use case that, yes, you might be starting with this from a, uh, oh, a crawl, walk, run approach, but actually, what are some of those bigger use cases that you might want to go for in the future? Because there's a lot of sensors out there now that don't just look at one data point; they'll collect multiple data points, and you want to make sure that if you're making a technology selection now, it's kind of like foolproofed for future use cases that you might want to enable or even pilot, and you're not having to go back through that whole process of procuring new sensors, getting them installed, etc. So those, I guess, are just a couple of examples, and kind of some of the lessons learned that I've had. But Michael, I'm sure you've got a lot of insights in this area as well too. Interested to hear from you.
Yeah, and not surprisingly, Tririga had a ton of them, and just through the sheer experience that you guys have with working with your customers, so that was great insight. Yeah, I'll try to contribute to that and add a little bit more, but I'll share a quick story, which was I was in a panel discussion much like this yesterday, and it kicked off with a slide that was up on the screen that was basically a robot taking away somebody's job, and it was kind of a humorous, tongue-in-cheek kind of reference, but when we talk about what kind of experiences we're trying to bring people, and when I can share some stories around this, but we use the word co-pilot. And when you think about the word co-pilot, what does that mean? That means that you are bringing someone a point of view. You're bringing them an opinion. And the analogy is that you have somebody at the controls in the airplane, but the co-pilot's saying, hey, we have a certain amount of altitude, we have a certain kind of weather conditions, we have certain kind of speed conditions, and they're providing suggestions, right? They aren't taking over the stick of the airplane. So what we try to bring in terms of an experience here is that we have a co-pilot for a facility manager. And John, thanks for the shout out on Hank. Appreciate it, and we're very proud of the work that we do with Hank.
Nice work.
And that's one of the most important examples is that we're providing at JLL building management applications that analyze ongoing operational data, and it's not easy as Kevin mentioned. You're dealing with a ton of data across all sorts of different sources, but what the facility manager's job is, and the experience we want to bring to them, is to shape occupancy, to shape engineering in a way that you can reduce resource consumption and create the best experience for people. And so, with Hank, what we try to do is provide a co-pilot experience where there's recommendations that are being made every day and sometimes every minute about what to do. And, Kevin talked about kind of the experience of being overwhelmed by information where you have so many alerts, so many alarms that it's difficult to see what's important and what's not. But, through the work that we've done with Hank, we've been able to help our occupants and our customers think about how they can save money on energy as a good example. And we've seen situations where up to 20 or 30% of energy use has been reduced, which is a huge amount. Simply from having these sort of micro suggestions throughout the day that allow the facilities manager to make tactical decisions and then pull back occasionally and make strategic decisions about How should I manage occupancy? Should I move people to different, should I consolidate people to certain floors on lower occupancy days and therefore save a tremendous amount of energy consumption? So we've seen a lot of success stories around that. It all kind of weaves into our thinking about an intelligent operations center that we want to provide our customers, which is, at the end of the day, it's filtering all the, first of all, it's capturing all the information, which is not a small job. It is then helping the manager figure out and discern which are the risks and the opportunities, right? You're getting a lot of input about what's going well or what's not, but what are the most important risks and opportunities today, next week, this quarter that they need to pay attention to? And AI as a recommender, AI as a co-pilot is what we think is really just game changer here. But it always should be remembered that this is a co-pilot and not the person taking over, not the entity taking over the actual management of the facility. And then I'll conclude on lessons learned. And, I'll second what Kevin said earlier about data. My job at JLL is to help our customers get the best data they can to do these kinds of things. And they asked me, what's changed with AI? And I said, well, not much, right? You still need 4C data. You need complete, consistent, current, and correct data. And the occupancy example that Sam was talking about a minute ago is a classic challenge, because you have sensors that the battery went dead. You have sensors that are simply recording whether a person's in the space. You have sensors that aren't paying attention to pods or organizational features. So first of all, it's about completeness. Is there a measure where you can say you have enough data to have a valid measurement? Or if you're missing 1/3 of the data due to sensor failure, is that a valid measurement? So those are things you have to consider. And then, what also we see coming up a lot with our customers is that we try to take, when I say we, I mean the client, ourselves, we try to take organizational hierarchy information, who reports to who, financially and for a SOX and control perspective, and use that as the way of looking at who is a team, who is an organization. And the fact is, control and financial objectives don't necessarily always sync up with actual experiences in terms of how people run their day-to-day teams. So you have to be very sensitive about taking organizational data from HR and bringing it into this and rearranging in a way that actually makes sense for the people that are running the teams. AI is only going to amplify these challenges. It's only going to make it more obvious, faster, because the point of AI is to create faster insights, more frequent insights, and therefore you're going to get more frequent feedback about whether or not your information is good or bad. So I think, John, you're going to take us back to some of the bigger industry examples. I'm looking forward to hearing about those.
Great, thank you, Michael. So I think I'm going to wrap up our panelist discussion by summarizing a few of the points that Kevin, Sam, and Michael have all mentioned. How do we start? What steps we take, and what problems we target to solve? And I have a couple of I think great structures from Deloitte. If we could help bring up the slide that I prepared. There's a couple of frameworks. I think Samantha touched on this crawl, walk, run approach. And there's a similar thinking when you look at what problems we want to tackle with AI. We really need to look at the situation and decide which mode we are in terms of utilizing information to address our needs. And Deloitte puts this into the survive, thrive, and drive stages. So in the initial stage, and I think this is most people are put into this stage willingly or not, right after the COVID recovery, when you need to really look into your situation, look at the assets you have, the spaces you have, the types of work your employees are conducting when they are in the office or even working at home. And technology is a great help here by collecting information that you might have missed if you've done this manually. So AI is definitely one tool that could, sensors, for example, can help you collect relevant information so you can understand and really get an inventory of what resources you have. Then in the thrive stage, we aim to look at our situation and differentiate among our business competitors and try to gain a competitive advantage by using technology. So here, this we could apply technology to design better workplace experiences, using artificial intelligence, using better scheduling technologies, space management, give a voice to workers and teams, and let them tell you and inform you what they need through reservation data, through demand, through feedback loops, and also pilot new workplace approaches and gather feedback. And in the last stage, and this is probably still a few steps in front of us for most organizations, we really take the workspace as our competitive advantage and really transform how the market expects us, and then really introduce radical innovations. And here, AI technology will help us continuously assess breakthrough technologies and improve our workplace experience. Also, we will have the ability to look at ESG, look at, for example, how technology can help us save energy, reduce carbon emission through lighting control, HVAC control, and then ultimately cultivate openness among leaders to workplace experimentation and change. So I think this found this a very useful framework. And on the next flip, also from the same study, there is a few actual cases where companies have experimented with intelligent technology and found benefits. For example, Unilever reported that they found that 40% of employees' time should be spent in the office for collaboration and connection, focusing on outcomes over physical location. So you don't need to be in the same physical space all the time. BMW utilizes metaverse technology, so because they're in the manufacturing business, they use metaverse technology to help transform the physical factory and create a simulation of what could be, what spaces they really want to build that can help them move on to the next step. Family Mart is a big convenience store chain based in Asia, in the Far East, and they are testing remote control robots to stock shelves and enabling employees to work from anywhere by using VR technologies, VR goggles and controllers. Advent Health, they're adding virtual nurse, remote medication, healthcare, to enhance workforce and really allow people to work from anywhere across digital and physical workspaces. And there are more. There are also industries where physical work at a physical location is necessary, and we could use technology to help us discover the magnitude of that when that's necessary. So M&T Bank, they are bringing employees back. Not because work couldn't be done virtually, but because they believe that workplace really created community and connections. And these are just some of the examples of how collecting the right data and putting them through the right analytics tools can really help us discover what's needed in the workspace. And I know Arnold has another round of surveys that will help us wrap up today's discussion. Arnold?
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you for the sharings. So I have implemented a couple of BIM and CMMS solutions in my previous organizations, as well as a few sensor-based solutions connected to our IoT platform in my current organizations. I fully agree with what the panel have just shared now on all the good, bad, and ugly of technology as well. So let's take a look at the poll question number 2. Have you or your organizations implemented AI and IoT technologies in facility management? So it's a very simple question. Again, we have 4 answers for you to choose from. Please scan the QR code. Now, while we are waiting for the poll result, I'll try to do a summary of the question number 2. So I really like Kevin, who is always start from the basic. So Kevin suggested we need to set a targeted outcome, and always have a plan in place when doing the AI implementations. Samantha suggested there are lots we can do by using the space management tool as well. And she shares some great examples on different insights that we can capture, such as traffic pattern, occupancy level, and utilization of the space. Samantha also shared her experience on sensors selections and locations to install sensors to make sure we have the coverage on key areas that provide useful information. Michael has shared his story of using Copilot, a tool which provides suggestions to us. And his mission is to create best experience and reduce consumptions. Michael shared how he reduced energy consumptions by using the occupancy data. And also, I'm very excited to learn more on the intelligent operation center that he mentioned with AI as a recommender and a co-pilot. And about lessons learned, Michael summarized that we still need 4C data. The complete, consistent, current, and accurate data is very important. And John has wrapped up nicely by introducing the survive, strive, and drive model from Deloitte. He has also shared some interesting AI experience that's happening in some global organizations, such as BMW, Unilever, and Family Mart, etc. So let's take a look at the results of poll questions number 2. So have your organizations implement AI and IoT technologies in FM? The majority, 42%, say no, but we're actively exploring these technology. Following by 25% of the respondents said no, but we have no immediate plan to implement them. 21% of the respondents say yes, but we are still in the early stage of implementations. And we have 13% of the respondents say yes, and we have seen a significant positive impact. Thank you very much. Now, if I try to go to the Q&A sessions. Let me take a look to see whether there is any questions on the chat. There's a question to Samantha. Would it be benefits having IoT sensoring technologies built into audiovisual equipment used in the office meeting space for hybrid or virtual meetings? Would the responsibility fall into FM or IT or a different group? What's your view?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. And this kind of ties back to kind of having technology in place that like serves multiple purposes, multiple use cases. And I think what I have found is that a lot of the newer audiovisual equipment, say for example, like your WebEx devices that might be in an office room, all of those newer technologies have these additional sensors already built into it. And many organizations don't even know that they have access to this data if they want to have it. So definitely, I think, having that integrated with the audio visual equipment is great because it's just one piece of technology that's needed. I think where the challenge can sometimes lie is on the second part of this question, right? Where does the responsibility fall into it? Because I guess from an AV perspective and the piece of technology itself, it generally will lie with the IT team. They'll be the ones who are responsible for kind of the networking that's required, the power that's required, making sure that it's online and for kind of day-to-day maintenance. But the facility management team then are also often involved, right? Because they are setting out, what type of equipment or what type of amenities need to be in each of those rooms as well. And if we think about having these, pieces of technology having additional sensors in them that the FM team would want to get access to, it definitely requires that cross-pollination of the two teams kind of coming together and understanding who's responsible for what, but making sure that they are having that collaboration. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know if anyone else on the panel has anything else that they would add to that.
Is there any other panels want to jump in?
All right.
I was just going to say, and I think, I'm sorry. I think you're right on the money there. So FM and IT are not siloed organizations like they used to be or shouldn't be. There is much more cross-pollination. And I think both have valuable input. IT can tell you, how difficult equipment is to utilize. Is it the latest standard? Does it fall in line with corporate goals, etc.? But FM, again, especially the space management or employee experience part, is going to get what that information, what those amenities do or fall short with. So I think it's, collaboration is the key, cross-pollination, as you said. I don't think it is going to be cut and dry on that. I think we have to all work together.
Thank you, Kevin. Next questions? Do we have a next one? Right. The idea of integrating AI with HVAC to have smarter HVAC system is amazing. Would love to know more details. Michael, would you like to give it a go?
Yeah, happy. And thank you for the question. It's an exciting topic. I'm going to say that actually putting the AI into the solution is actually the easiest part. I think the harder part is bringing all the information together that you need to make it effective. But I'll share 3 examples where I think this wins or this works, right? The first is you'll need occupancy data to understand how people are using the space. That's probably the single most important driver, because then once you understand how people are using the space and you bring it into your building management system, you can make tactical decisions about when people are using space, how you might consolidate them. And the fact is, when you shut off a floor, you're using less energy, full stop. There was I think I saw a picture on Twitter or New York Times about a well-known financial services company on a Friday night that had their entire headquarters lit up. And it's just like, what's wrong with this picture? And it's like, either you're working your analysts to death, which would not be surprising, or, simply that some floors are like, over energized, and you need to be able to adapt to that. So integrating occupancy data, very important. The second is you're getting feedback all the time about the environment. People are submitting trouble tickets. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's too this. And individual needs matter, right? But being able to provide some perspective to say, well, in fact, right, the ambient temperature in this particular floor is, X degrees, which is certainly within the prescription for what we wanted for this floor for the entire workplace experience. Do we need to adjust the environment, or do we need to address the individual's problem more directly and find a more comfortable place for them to do their best work? And so that's where it adds some value, because it provides that perspective, right? The third, and I think important one, is that, and by the way, that's all subjective data, right, that you're getting in and integrating. And it goes back to that prompting that we talked about earlier, which is, are you basing it on a developer's point of view, or are you basing it on, the collective experience and wisdom of everybody involved? The third and final thing that I would say that really makes the solution work is having information about the asset performance itself. How are the chillers working? How is the overall system working? And this goes into preventative versus reactive maintenance, right? The more that you have information about how those assets are performing, what they're going to look like when they're under stress. And so part of it is load balancing and otherwise planning for the kind of, performance that you expect from an engineering point of view. And this is where the co-pilot can make interesting decisions or suggestions about what you might do about that. So happy to talk more, offline, but those are some of our measures of success, or, winning ingredients, if you will.
Thank you so much, Michael. So I think we are on time. And I would like to, on behalf of IFMA, thank you so much once again for the panels to join this webinar. And we look forward to see you next time. Back to you, Kim. Or Jack. Hi, Kim.
It can be either. Jack, I believe that we have a outro. So I would like to thank everybody for joining us. Arnold, thank you so much for moderating this great panel. AI and FM are definitely intersecting, and I think after today's discussion, everybody can learn a little bit more about how it can positively impact FM. So with that, we thank everybody for joining us and wish you a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.